in the family. Won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today it's another
For the Stepdads.
Oh, your chubby old stepdads are sitting here. And just
Speak for yourself. I'm sleek and beautiful.
That's true. Adam is an Adonis.
God, no.
He's kind of like a better-looking Brad Pitt.
Now that I turned 46, I've let myself go.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
wait till you get to be my age, buddy. You don't have a choice.
Yeah, it was funny. This morning I realized after I sat down, I woke up, I got up, and I sat back down for 30 seconds, and I got up, and I literally sounded like I just poured milk on Rice Krispies.
Oh, wow.
My whole body was just like...
Yeah.
I was like, okay, wow, this is getting old.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was your birthday month.
Yeah.
You're pushing 50.
Yeah.
I'm pushing 80.
Pushing 50. I still got 2 years before I'm pushing 50.
I don't know, man. It's fun getting older.
Yeah. I mean, that's one way of saying it.
Hey, look. Who was I talking? I was talking to somebody about getting older. And the benefits are you don't really care as much about stuff.
Yeah.
About what people think and you know, that's a nice part of it. But then the rest of it is just you get to a point where things aren't going to get any better physically, and you're just watching yourself decompose inside and out.
Yeah.
And it's
Although I will say, growing up, my best friend in elementary school, his parents, when they were in their late 40s, they both lost a ton of weight and got super fit. And I was like, okay, like I'll do that in 40 years.
What they look like in their 50s?
No, they stayed thin for quite a while, actually.
You
Yeah.
can't. I mean, look, it's not.
But they did like a radical life change. I mean, it was like they changed. I mean, and they stuck with it.
That's crazy. Most people can't do that later.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, I think about that now, and it's like there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Well, I mean,
I like my pizza too much.
exactly. I still exercise, not like I used to, but now it's not about looking good.
Yeah.
It's about just maintaining a level of strength to
Right.
not be
Right.
afraid of teenagers.
Having to fight them on your lawn.
Yes.
Yeah.
You quit making fun of me, you bastards.
Yeah.
You'll be old too one day. You'll be old too.
You just wait. You just wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't had to confront any teenagers, so that's good.
Yeah.
I started using public transportation.
Yeah.
That's,
yeah, that's a whole other ball of wax.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting people in Los Angeles, and I think all of them either ride the bus or the trains.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I mean, it's an enclosed space, so you're out of the elements.
Yeah.
And you know, they generally can get on. The longest train ride is like an hour, so like it's an easy way to sit down and just ride until you get to the next place. And then...
You know what's funny is I don't know why, but I'm a magnet
Oh yeah.
for people
Yeah.
of all types. I don't know if my face is just like a open 24 hours sign. Come on in and get whatever help
Yeah.
you need. But good Lord, man,
You look very trustworthy.
I'm not.
I know. I know.
Anyway, so this has been a really fun month. The other buddies.
Yeah. It's been really great.
It was great to see Running Scared again. It just renewed my love for
I thought you were going to say Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal.
Billy
well, no,
Crystal. It actually did.
What
Yeah,
really
yeah.
got me juiced again for Billy Crystal was that Jimmy Kimmel bit he did.
Oh, God.
The April Fool's bit.
Yeah.
Which
so
just
good.
was hilarious.
So good.
He's a good guy. I have. We're hardest on the people we love, I suppose. Correct?
Yeah.
You know? And I've always enjoyed him. There was a period of about 20 years where he just didn't appeal to me anymore. And that's fine.
Well, it's because you another like 5 years, you'll suddenly realize that you love baseball, and then he'll be your favorite comedian of all time.
I will kill myself. 100%. But and Gregory Hines, man, it just makes me want to
so
watch
good.
everything that he
Yeah.
was in.
White Knights, man, I need to watch that again.
And Wolfen, we got to cover.
Wolfen, yeah. I've actually never seen Wolfen.
It's good. I mean, honestly, I don't know if it's good. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it was a movie that my sister and I both really loved.
Yeah.
And it just has, it's got good friendship between Albert Finney and Gregory Hines. And it's just kind of like this cool investigative piece about maybe werewolves or maybe shapeshifters. I think it's shapeshifters. I don't know. But yeah, the chemistry between those two guys made it so much fun. And then, oh, baby, I can't tell you how much fun I had watching Tango and Cash.
Yeah, yeah. It was actually funny that mentioning you don't know if Wolfen's good or not, because Harley Davidson the Marlboro Man made me realize there is a nostalgia sheen on almost all of my memories. Tango and Cash was one of those that actually surpassed that.
Yeah.
Because I remember it not being very good.
Oh, yeah.
And Tango and Cash. And then watching it again, it is so much fun.
Well, I think when you're younger, and especially if you're a filmmaker, an artiste, it's like that kind of bubblegum action pop, is kind of like, oh, it's just fluff or whatever. But as you get older and you just appreciate movies and you really like action flicks, it's just a great flick. And also, a lot of these movies, what's really funny is a lot of movies have gotten better with age because subsequent movies are so much worse.
Right. Yeah.
So
seeing how many movies borrowed from all these movies, it just makes them
and badly,
not realizing the thing that actually made it good.
Exactly. But Tango and Cash was so good.
So much fun.
And it's one of the best times I've had watching a movie in a while.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, look, Harley Davidson the Marlboro Man is not a good movie.
It's not. It's really not.
But it's not a bad movie. It's an interesting movie because I always like watching genre movies that kind of are the bridge of the decades.
Yeah.
Like 80s to 90s. And that's the bridge of 80s to 90s. Even though it's like early 90s, it was shot.
Yeah, it was like 91, but it was shot in 90.
Yeah, so it's shot on the cusp, right?
Yeah.
And I like to see, what the changes are. And changes weren't good. But but it was, look, in contrast with these other movies, I think it really fits because it is a time capsule of the futurism of the 90s. That was the big thing in the 90s, man.
Right.
The big thing in the 90s was like the 5-year future gap jump.
Right. It was always the near future.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And
did they think that we were? I mean, granted, technology does grow very quickly.
Yeah.
But does it go that fast?
No. There's no way that in 5 years, the tiny little Burbank airport became an international airport with Concords landing there.
Yeah.
No.
Which also, by the way,
they would have had to take over all of Burbank.
I didn't realize until I was doing putting together social media for this that the still of where the bar is and the background is literally just downtown LA.
Yeah.
So they're essentially implying that Burbank grew all the way to downtown.
I mean, come on. There's always geographical.
I know. It was just funny. I didn't realize because it was the tower that gets blown up in Independence Day that I was like, oh, that's actually downtown.
Nice. Yeah. Look, like we said on the show, listen to the show if you haven't, there's a lot of things to like. It's a great afternoon, have a couple beers movie. It was definitely, for me, one of those, if I'm bopping channels on the old satellite and I see it popping on, I'll stick.
Yeah.
At least for a while.
It is. I mean, our audience, I think, also has the nostalgia sheen because that episode's been doing very well.
Nice.
But yeah, it's just funny because I don't hate the movie.
Oh no. It
just wasn't as good as I remembered.
No. And I think the last time I watched it was with a friend of the show, T. Arthur Cottam, award-winning filmaker T. Arthur Cottam.
Yeah.
It's contractually stated
his
that you
full
have
name.
to see. Yes, he changed his name to.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing him. He is a great.
He is.
And a good guy. But I think the last time I watched it was with him, and both he and I are, super fans of Don Johnson.
Right.
So it just was fun because we both made fun. You know what I mean? It's like you got two people that really like it. it's a lot of fun. Not that it wasn't fun watching with you, but
yeah, but I'm no T. Arthur. I'm sorry, I'm not award-winning T. Arthur Cottam.
no,
or, sorry, award-winning filmmaker T. Arthur.
or any
Cottam.
of us. But
Thankfully not. Just kidding, T. Just kidding.
like he listens.
Yeah, I know.
But we had fun watching it. But it was also more of a critical eye, because I think you're watching the stuff for the show sometimes. It's sometimes it's like homework, and sometimes it's pure pleasure. And this was a little homeworky, I guess.
It was, but that's part of the reason why Tango and Cash was so good, because I was fully expecting to have to slog through this movie, and it was like, nope, just put that critical eye aside and go for the ride.
I think in retrospect, if we would have started with Harley, we probably would have enjoyed it more than throwing it at the end, because we wouldn't have had the other two to
compare it to. That's true. But it was a fun month. It was a fun month.
Very fun, yeah. And it was your birthday month.
It was.
You had a good birthday. You went camping.
The best way to celebrate your day of birth is to go to the Valley of Death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you didn't die.
No, I didn't die, thankfully. I did see a lot more wildlife than I thought I was going to. But it was fun. It was good. I highly recommend going to Death Valley at least once in your life, and probably only once, because you don't really need to go back again.
There's not a ton to see there.
It's not. I mean, it's interesting. It's really interesting, but you can definitely do it all in a day,
a couple of
day
days,
and a half. Yeah, like you do one overnight, you're probably good.
Don't go in the summer.
Definitely don't. In fact, they tell you specifically, do not go outside between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. during the summer, because it doesn't get below 100 degrees, even at 2 o'clock in the morning.
It's disgusting.
The coldest it is during the summer is at 4 a.m.
Well, there you go. There's your sleep time.
Yay! Yeah, but it was fun. It was fun.
Nice.
I really enjoyed camping, so it was good to get out into nature.
And you got the complete season of...
I did. Jim gave me Quantum Leap, the complete, for the original show.
Right.
Not the new show that was...
unceremoniously canceled.
Yeah, which is so disappointing. I have very mixed feelings about it, because it wasn't a great show, but I really liked the show.
I enjoyed it too. It filled that hole of hopeful sci-fi goof.
Yeah.
It knew exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It unapologetically did it, and
had some great actors in it.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was the thing I'm most sad for, was that it seemed like the creative team with the actors and everybody just had a really great time. In fact, a guy that I worked with, he was an editor for a show, Justice, the show I worked on a long time ago, which was on Fox, where I met Victor Garber, actually.
There you go.
He was an editor for that show. He's now a TV director. He directed like half the episodes of
Quantum
Leap. And like seeing him post behind the scenes photos and stuff was really cool. It just seemed like everybody just had such a good time making the show.
It you could feel it when you watched it.
Exactly.
It had that, didn't seem like there was a lot of misery. Back in the... It wasn't moonlighting.
Seemed like everybody got along. Yeah.
We do... we have one old man correction.
Oh, yeah.
It's on me.
Which is...
probably have a lot more of it. Because we're so old, this is the only one we remember.
The only one I remember. It's the most egregious.
Yeah. So Daniel Baldwin isn't dead.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Baldwin. I was positive he had died.
And as soon as you said it, I was like, yeah, that sounds right. Mm-hmm. That just sounds right.
And it's so awful. I mean, poor Daniel Baldwin, that it's like, yeah, he's dead. Nobody questioned it. It was just so like, yeah.
He's in like 14 movies coming out this year, so he's definitely not dead.
No. Oh my God. This is so stupid. But there's this friend of ours. He was the worst actor ever. He was in... One of my 50 hours with a puppet.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it was just every choice was wrong. He's just awful actor. I don't know, maybe a good person. He also shows up in these really weird, like, gangster comedy film things.
Really?
It's really weird. I don't know what the fuck is going on with this guy. But so after OJ died, this friend, quoties of ours, posted... And I thought it was a joke. He's like, OJ was innocent. His son did it. And this book proves it. And it was just like... And then every one of the comments, because I'm like, this has got to be a joke or whatever. All the comments are like, you're an idiot. This is so stupid. How can you? And every response was like, you haven't read the book. You haven't read the book. So I got really curious because there's this book by this private detective that came out like 2001, and and now it's getting a little bit more
right.
Press because of the thing. And he's a famous private detective. Something Deere.
Is he the? Oh, okay.
William Deere, I think his name is. Okay. And he inserts himself into these high profile cases, and he was a very successful.
The Kurt and Courtney guy, was he?
I don't think so.
No, because I think okay. Anyway, sorry.
He's now inserting himself into the Jean Bonnet.
Oh, of course he is.
But so I was curious because every time somebody would say, comments were, this is ridiculous, you're an idiot, unfriend, or, better to keep your mouth shut and be thought a fool than open it and prove yourself. And then all of his responses were like, fine, but read the book. And it was like, you're unfriended if this is true. You're an idiot. Read the book. It's read the book. And so I read this article in The Advocate that was reprinted from when the book came out. Because this guy wrote a review and the publication, this LA publication, doesn't exist anymore, and it wasn't archived. So he wrote an article and then reprinted that article from the time.
Right.
And the stuff that this dude was doing was borderline criminal, man. He was stalking Jason Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
He would park in front of his house. He rented that house next to him to put a operative in. He was going through his trash for years. For years he was doing this. Just, he went into the hospital dressed as a doctor to try to get Jason Simpson's medical records for his mental health, his mental issues. He chickened out, but somebody gave him the records. So all of this stuff is just fudged, and he totally ignores all the blood evidence. He totally. So, because I was like, look, maybe, I 100% think OJ did it. I do not believe any of this, but I almost posted the article because there's like 81 comments on this thing, and they were all like,
"Oh wow,
F you, dude, you're an idiot." So I almost posted this, like, look, this is
right.
And then I just every time I think about doing that, I'm like, why do I want to get involved? I barely know this person.
Yes. This is coming with age. Is like,
I have wasted so much of my time. I mean, I'm glad I read the article because it was interesting. Yeah. But it's just, it was just so weird. But I'm not surprised with this guy.
Similar but different OJ story. A friend of mine was working at a bookstore in the late 70s, early 80s. And OJ Simpson came in and all his
you got any murder books?
Well, no, this was way before that. Before he was thinking about murder, he essentially was asking for book recommendations, and his like he was managing the place, the friend of mine, and all his clerks were like just agog, like, oh my god, it's O.J. Simpson, blah blah blah, and he was just aghast because he was like, and the guy, OJ gets a book, he recommended a book, OJ buys it, and then OJ says to him,
if this book is bad, I'm going to kill you.
No, whenever I don't know what to do, no. Whenever I don't know what to do, I buy a book.
Oh, nice.
Because it turns out that morning, his daughter, I think it was his daughter, drowned.
Oh, my God.
And he came into the store and bought the book. And the friend of mine was the only one that knew that happened.
Jesus.
Everyone else there hadn't been paying attention to the news. And he literally came in a few hours after it happened and bought a book so he could sit down and read and figure out what the hell to do with his life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's sad.
It was crazy. The kid was like 2, I think.
Oh, my God. That's awful.
They drowned in his pool. Yeah, it was bad.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, that was one of those. I was like, I never knew that. I didn't realize he had a kid that died.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
Neither did I. And I told the story. I used to know Jason, and I used to but I would run into OJ, either during football season or track season.
Yeah. Yeah.
He would show up, and that was, look, we all loved OJ back then, and the fact that he showed up to his kids' high school stuff in San Diego. I mean,
yeah,
that's. Father of the Year. I don't know. But but it just, not that it's just weird that I've known 2 murderers.
Yeah, yeah.
Him and Andrew Cunanan.
Well, 3 technically.
Oh my God.
But nobody knows yet.
Well, they do now, dummy.
Oh, that's awful. No, that's awful.
All right, so Daniel Ball is not dead.
Yeah, Daniel Ball is not dead. He's alive and well.
And watch the movies.
Do watch the movies. It's so much fun.
In order, if you only have time for one, make a Tango and Cash.
Yes.
And then Running Scared. And then you have some time.
Yeah, do Harley Davidson.
Harley, if you can find it.
Yeah. So speaking of movies, though, what movies have you been watching this past month?
Well, we watched a few. We watched Lisa Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Written by, I was going to say written by, oh, it is Juno Temple. No, it's not Juno Temple.
Juno Temple.
What am I thinking of?
Diablo Cody.
Diablo Cody. Juno Temple is a
She
great
wrote
actor.
Juno, yes.
Oh, God. I need to. This is
movie
what happens when I
Juno.
don't have a Red Bull before the show.
Yeah.
And it was directed by Zoe
Zelda.
Sorry. Jesus Christ. It was directed by Zelda Williams, who's Robin Williams' daughter.
Yes, it was her feature film directorial debut.
Great. She did a great job directing.
I thought it was directed very
Yeah.
well. I think the movie is most of Diablo Cody's movies, the third act falls apart.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like Juno. I mean, I remember really liking Juno. Who knows if I would, seeing it again. And Jennifer's Body was fine. I wasn't a huge fan of that one.
Yeah. Both of them, same with both of them for me. I was kind of like, okay.
But it kind of seems like her style is kind of not in vogue anymore, if that makes sense. Like,
it seems a little out of place.
Talkie, that seems more aughts than the 20s. But Catherine Newton.
Yeah, she was good.
She was great.
Really
Cole
great.
Sprouse
Cole
was
Sprouse
really
was great.
good.
Carla Gugino was amazing.
She always is.
Oh, my gosh, she's so good. It was definitely worth a see, but I mean, it was, we waited till it came out on streaming and watched it. We didn't go see it in the theater or anything.
Yeah, it was interesting. It wasn't great.
I'm really curious to see what Zelda Williams can do with other material.
Sure.
Like what else she can do. I'm curious to see where her career goes.
Yeah, and I think she definitely has a career ahead of her.
Yeah, there was some really interesting art design and like production design and stuff. Like it was
some
going
great
really
shots.
Well. Yeah,
Some very thought out. I think very talented young person. I don't know how old, probably in their 40s, but
I have no idea.
But yeah, I mean, it's on streaming. If you like Diablo Cody, and you like those types of movies, give it a shot.
Yeah. I mean, it's a modern day Frankenstein tale.
I'd give about a 7.
Yeah,
6.5.
I would say probably 6.5. Yeah. Definitely, it's worth a see. If there's nothing else on, it's worth a see. I think, for sure.
Yeah, it's a different kind of fun take on the Frankenstein myth.
Yeah.
So many of those.
A lot. Yeah, it's a big
There's,
thing now.
The Black Girl and Her Monster, I think. That's another one. That one looks really interesting. It's on Hulu, I think. I think I butchered the title. But it's about this...
It's not called Black Girl and the Monster?
I think it is, actually.
Oh, wow.
It's close to that.
Okay.
And it's about this girl whose brother, I think, is murdered, and she brings him back to life.
Oh.
And it's just this, it looks very interesting. I really like those reanimation movies. I like the Frankenstein myth.
Yeah.
I love the book.
I wrote a whole play in that same vein.
Yes, you did, and it was great. But I like the bringing back somebody from the dead. I'm always curious how they do it and the repercussions of it. And I thought the whole Cole Sprouse character was very fun and interesting because it was like, I need to have a tongue. I need, so she had to get parts for him to create to finish the perfect boyfriend.
Right.
So
yeah. It was interesting.
Yeah.
It was good.
It was. I enjoyed it more than I did another movie that we watched.
Yeah.
Which was Wish.
Yeah. There was just something missing with Wish, and I don't know if it's just I wasn't paying close enough attention, but I felt like the world building just wasn't there.
It wasn't. It felt as if it was a reverse engineered origin story for the stupid When You Wish Upon a Star.
Yeah. It was almost, to me, by the end I realized it was for the 100th anniversary of Disney.
Yeah.
And that it was just a giant Disney circle jerk.
Sure.
And I would rather see a Disney circle jerk in an actual movie rather than just a movie that's going, hey, look at us.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Pine was just boring, and he's usually great.
Yeah, he was a cartoon character. He's very two-dimensional.
But he wasn't even. He's played other voices before and done a better job.
No, agreed.
It just seemed like he's kind of
because the script
this.
wasn't very good.
No, and it was a thin plot, and it was it tried to. hinge on the cuteness of the star and the
Yeah.
cuteness of her companion, and
It really felt like they were trying to do a version. It was like it was a B-list version of like Encanto. Like
Yeah.
Encanto did something very similar, but did it way better.
it's a lot more complicated.
Yeah, and it just felt like it was just trying to charge through the plot points as quickly as possible.
Right, checking the boxes.
Yeah, and it just
To get to the conclusion that they had
which is
preordained, you know.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I didn't have any expectations going into it. I mean, it
No.
was just kind of like, okay, it is what it is.
Well, I mean, Disney's usually pretty quality
yeah,
stuff.
you can always find something positive.
especially
about
their
it.
animation.
Yeah.
Either Pixar or even their own stuff is usually really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So-
yeah. I mean, Pixar for sure. But Pixar is generally better written. Although Disney stuff is always well written. So it was
like
just surprising.
Zootopia. Is that
Yeah.
Disney? Or
No. That was
good.
DreamWorks.
But yeah, like
But like in Tangled or whatever, the last kind of this similar movie that Disney itself did, not
Right.
Pixar, was fantastic. It was done so well, and it just, I was just disappointed.
it was lazy.
Yeah, it felt lazy.
It was
yeah.
a lazy movie. Look, if you have kids, you're going to have to watch it. But if you don't have kids, skip.
Yeah, skip, definitely. Yeah, if you have kids, it's fine. I mean, it's entertaining enough that it's like, okay, but you're going to be sitting back grumbling on the couch while your kids are all freaking out about the movie.
It is 100 times better than the next movie, though.
No.
100,000 times.
I mean, I'll never know because I'm never, ever, ever watching.
I watched this so you don't have to. That I jumped on this grenade. I martyred myself for 2+ hours.
Stupidest thing you've ever done. Technically 5 hours because you watched the first part too.
Right.
Rebel Moon,
Part 2.
part 2, Scar Giver.
Electric Poopaloo.
Yeah.
Scar Giver. What a stupid title, by the way, too. I don't even know who the Scar Giver was. Look, we have dunked on, I was going to say Dan Schneider. We should dunk on him, too. But
Zack Snyder.
A lot.
Yeah,
If you're a fan of the show, you know that we're not Snyderverse people. You know,
No.
we give him props for Watchmen, but that's not.
And Dawn of the Dead.
Which is probably my favorite zombie movie.
Yeah, which he didn't.
Modern day zombie.
He didn't write. I mean, that's the key here is that he didn't write.
He's a horrible writer, and again, without the slow mo, we could have had this whole thing done in one movie.
Yeah.
And 1 hour and a half movie. We
Yeah,
could have been done
yeah.
with it and not had to sit through 2 movies that sets up a 3rd movie.
Yeah.
It still didn't end.
He's got to do the trilogy,
Oh, God, please no. Please no.
which is actually going to be broken up into 3 parts.
Oh, my God.
Because
Please
it's going to be 9 hours long.
It's just, I did not care about any of the characters.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
I usually get, look, I get caught up and I get sad when people die. I get into it. You know, movies can make me cry and laugh. No. But I was laughing at the death scenes in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
It was just stupid. I didn't give a crap about anybody. Nobody was developed enough for me to care about them.
Right.
I didn't even really understand what was going on. It was a messy mishmash BS version of the Seventh Samurai or Magnificent Seven, whichever one you want to rip off.
Yeah, well,
And Star Wars. And it just did not do anything. It was a vapid,
big old pile of nothing burger.
oh my God, it was the most vapid, useless, just bankrupt
Just
piece of
terrible.
crap I've seen in a long time. And
That's
there's a
too
lot of
bad.
good actors in
That's really too bad.
it. Yeah. And I'm not saying this because of, I'm not like I want to like movies at this point, you know? If I'm going to spend my time watching a movie or a series, I don't want to be I don't want to do this. I don't want to have to say it's crap. We always try to say something nice. You know?
want to try to enjoy it, or at least enjoy something about it.
Yes. And I couldn't even enjoy it on an ironic level or a it's so bad it's good level or, sit around and make fun of it level because there's nothing there.
No.
There's nothing there to latch onto. Like if it was on Mystery Science Theater, they'd just be like, what?
I don't know. How do I make fun of this?
It's like Trump. It's a parody of itself. It's not even, there's no way to to make it anything other than just it's garbage.
Vapid garbage.
Yeah, it's just
look, the first movie was so boring to me that I was actually working while watching it, and I was still so bored by it I turned it off.
I don't blame you. I don't understand. I don't get the Snyder worship. It's
Netflix, man. I don't know why. I don't know if like he somehow made them a ton of money, or I don't know. Or they're gambling all on him. I mean, it's not like the stuff he's doing is. I guess people pay attention to him. I mean, regardless.
Well, they didn't on this one because everybody knew it was coming because we saw how bad the first one was, and I don't even think this one stayed in the top.
Oh, really?
For it may be still in the top 10. I don't know, but
their algorithm's weird.
It was watched, but it was watched because curious idiots like me threw it on the first couple of days.
I saw people talking about how much they liked the first movie. So I mean,
people have been kicked in the head. They have brain damage.
Kicked by horse.
CRT. Is it CRT? Is that critical race theory?
That's critical race theory.
What am I thinking? What's the
CET?
CET, right?
Isn't that it? I don't know. I was kicked in the head by a horse.
Trauma, cranial something trauma.
CTE. That's
CTE.
what it is.
Cranial trauma emergencies.
Yes.
It was that. Remember they did that movie with Will Smith. With his horrible accent, where they just sort of kind of said that the NFL was bad, but they didn't actually go full-throated into it because they didn't want to upset the NFL.
No.
What an awful movie. Speaking of awful movies.
It was not a good movie.
But yeah, please, dear God.
Stay away from
for the sake
Rebel
of your sanity, for the sake of not wanting to throw a shoe through your TV screen, stay away from Rebel Moon Part 2.
Yeah, part poo. I did last night, speaking of deaths in movies, Phoebe really wanted to watch Little Women, the 2019 Greta Gerwig version.
That's a good
which
one.
I had never seen. The acting performing school that we work at did Little Women as a play a couple semesters ago. And I had never seen it. And I loved Barbie. I love Greta Gerwig. I am horribly bereft in the movies that she's done. Mm-hmm. So I need to see more of them. I will say that I think this Little Women version is probably the best adaptation, and it's been adapted 10 times. Yeah. But probably the best adaptation. Great actors, done very, very well.
It's a good story. I love the book.
But the one thing that I really wish, and that took me out of it a little bit, is that because it takes place over 2 different time periods.
Right.
One's during the 1862 and the Civil War, and then 1869, 7 years later. I really wish that they would shoot this with actors that were the actual age, and then let them age, and then shoot the rest of it.
Yeah,
because it was really hard for me to believe that some of these actors were 13 and 14 and 15. Yeah. It just wasn't. It's the oldest was supposed to be Emma Watson, who's 16 at the time, and her little sister, played by Saoirse Ronan, is supposed to be 15. And I'm like, Emma Watson looks like she's 12.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. It's just it doesn't make it didn't.
People aged weird back then.
But I know, and regardless of that, there was a point. Greta Gerwig has such a good handle on dialogue and directing people.
Yeah.
Because every time the 4 of them are together, I turned to Phoebe and I was like, it's like beautiful chaos because they're just talking over each other the whole time.
Yeah.
But you catch little snippets of conversation. It was done very well. I was very happy.
That one's really good. The Winona Ryder one I really enjoyed too.
Yeah.
But I think you're right.
It was a little too stiff for me.
Yeah, but this one is definitely, in my opinion as well, the best adaptation.
It captures the joy of being a child and going into that age, of becoming a little adult person and
becoming a little woman.
Yes. The other thing that kind of threw me off on it was that the dad was played by Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah.
And it was just oh, hey, there you are.
And the wife was...
Laura Dern.
Oh, I thought the wife was played by David Cross.
It actually was. It was David Cross playing Laura Dern.
It was a weird choice, but he
did a great job, though.
He did.
Great job.
Oh, I love.
But anyway, it was a good movie. It was one of those. I was like, okay, I like period pieces. I like Greta Gerwig, so I'm curious. I haven't seen Lady Bird yet.
Lady Bird's really good. Yeah.
And there's a couple others Greta Gerwig movies I've not seen, but she's quickly becoming one of my favorite directors.
She's amazing. She's really just so underrated and
Yeah.
And her style is so smooth.
Yes.
I think that's the way to
Yes.
say it. It's just
Very
everything
clean.
flows really
Yeah.
well together. And you're right. She gets amazing performances out of her actors.
Yeah.
And she really knows how to set a scene. And I can't wait. Like every time a new movie of hers comes out, I can't wait because she just keeps getting better and
Yes.
better and better.
Yes.
And I'm not sure what she's doing next after Barbie.
She's working on an adaptation of Hot Wheels.
Nice.
No.
Yeah, she's doing Skipper.
Skip. My best friend Skipper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, but it's good. It's definitely good.
So our pick of movies is one from 2019, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Although Lisa Frankenstein is worth a see, but
Yeah, but the best one of the bunch is Little Women. That's for sure.
by far. It's just been a weird time. There's not been a lot of great movies coming out.
No.
A barren sea of new good movies.
And I just don't remember. They go in my eyes and out my
Yeah.
butt, and I don't even know. That's how
Why are you eating them?
I ate them
with
my
your eyes?
I don't know. I'm an alien.
The one movie we didn't watch that we meant to, which I think is out, it might be coming out this week on Shudder, is the Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah.
Which has been out in theaters, but I think it's coming to Shudder on the 28th. I
Yes.
believe. Yeah. So I'm very excited for that movie.
One last movie. I watched Drive Away Dolls, which was originally called Drive Away Dykes, which I think is a much better title.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Indicative of that movie.
Yeah. Man, I wanted to love this movie so
Yeah.
badly.
It was which Coen brother directed it?
Ethan Coen.
Oh, it was Ethan. Okay.
So I really wanted to love this movie. It was directed by Ethan Coen. I love the Coen brothers. And the two leads, Margaret Qualley, who was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, she was the
hitchhiker.
hitchhiker that he picks up, and then there's lots of shots of her feet.
Yes, well, that could be anybody.
That's
in a
what I
Tarantino
remember
movie.
about that scene.
And it also has Geraldine.
Geraldine Ferraro?
Yes, she's back from the dead, Adam. Geraldine Viswanathan, I think.
Viswanathan? Was she the one from Miracle Workers?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
okay.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that was her.
Oh yeah, she's great.
so good.
Oh my god! And the two of them were really great together. Beanie Feldstein, who's always hilarious. She's Jonah Hill's sister. I think she's funnier than him, actually. No offense, but it's Matt Damon, Joel Slotnick, C.J. Wilson. Like, there's so many good people in it, but just I think the Coens need each other because it felt incomplete. It was these weird, very kind of low res animation things that kind of were part of the transitions, and it just didn't click.
Weird.
And
Weird.
I'm
That's
curious
too
for
bad.
you to watch it.
Yeah,
It's not a bad movie.
Right.
It was just something that from the trailers I really liked, but what was funny was there was this one scene that they kept playing over and over again of them renting this car. The whole point is they need to take a drive away to go to Tallahassee, and the car that they get is not the right car, and there's something in the trunk, and bleep, blap, blap. And the thing in the trunk is kind of funny, but it just ends up being weird. Yeah. And it was lacking, and it just bummed me out. And I'm curious for you to watch it, and then maybe next step.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more. Yeah.
But it was something I was really looking forward to, and then
I did not hear good things about it.
Yeah,
unfortunately, but you're looking for the positive of it was some of the most positive things I've heard about it. So
yeah, I mean, Pedro Pascal was in it. It just had a really good cast. It just didn't go anywhere.
Weird.
And it also seemed like
did he write it too?
Well, he co-wrote it, I believe. He wrote it with Trisha Cook, who I'm not sure who that is.
You know what? I think she adapted his Hamlet or whatever the Shakespeare thing he did shot during COVID. I think she co-wrote that with him.
Okay, yeah, and this might have been based on a book or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, check it out if you want, but
Macbeth. Well, I don't know. Anyway, the Shakespeare thing.
Yeah. That was written by Shakespeare. Anyway,
Wait, he came back from the dead
He did.
and adapted it?
that's what the Coen brothers can do, but
He was
only
like,
both of them. not
Hello,
one.
Ethan. Ethan, I'm going to... Yeah, anyway.
But it's a bummer because, it's just, even though they're not doing stuff together.
Look, sometimes stuff doesn't work. I mean, it's just, you try as hard as you can. Sometimes it doesn't work.
I think they need both.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I would probably agree with you on that.
Unfortunately. And maybe, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's just...
I'll give it a watch.
It was a disappointment, unfortunately. I also watched, just quickly, Academy Award-winning Poor Things.
Did it win an Academy Award?
I think so. Didn't she win?
Oh, maybe it was. Did Emma Stone win?
Didn't Emma Stone get...
Which, funny enough, is also Emma
Stone?
And Emma Stone it's also a very Frankenstein movie.
Definitely. That's why, I wanted to bring it up. It's another Frankenstein movie. I enjoyed it. I thought Emma Stone was great. I thought Willem Dafoe was great. I thought Mark Ruffalo was really good. Margaret Qualley was in it. Only for a few seconds, though. It was very funny. And Rami Youssef, who I really like him. He's a stand-up comic. Mm-hmm. He's very funny. It was good. It was like a very highbrow sex movie from the 70s or 80s. Those movies where the girl goes and lives in the brothel and there's all this stuff. And it was very raw, and there was and that added to it, and that made it was a very smart sex movie, which, and that's a really kind of insulting way to talk about it. But honestly, it's the conceit is it's a Frankenstein movie, and Willem Dafoe is this scientist who was just horribly abused by his father. His face is just it's great makeup because his face is like just chunks that seem to be that were put together, or he's so malformed, and he's trying to reanimate somebody. This pregnant woman kills herself, jumps off of this bridge, finds the body, baby's alive, woman's dead, takes the baby's brain, puts in the mama's head. And so it's basically a full-grown baby, and we're watching this person kind of grow.
Become a person.
Right, and also discover who they are, where they come from, discover... And all the sex stuff totally makes sense because, it's all part of the awakening, and it's all part of... It's got like a feminist bent to it, which is really cool about, a woman discovering herself and her power and who she is and where she came from and all this stuff. And... it was a little uneven, man. It just seemed like there was these really weird comedic moments with Mark Ruffalo, and also Gerard Carmichael is in it, who I love. But again, he just kind of had this part that could have been anybody, and it wasn't really that. I don't know. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. Emma Stone was amazing in it. She deserves all the accolades.
Yeah, she's always good. Yeah.
So inevitably, I see these movies after they've been out for a while, and I hear all the critical acclaim and the Oscars and this and that, and my expectations, just like with, I guess, Drive-Away Dolls, my expectations get really high, and then it doesn't live. It wasn't, look, it was extremely interesting. It was beautifully shot. The whole steampunk aesthetic was cool. It had a cool feel to it. It just was kind of uneven. It's just with all of his movies, with all of
Yorgos
Lanthimos' films, they're all kind of that way. They're just a little bit quirky. They're very good, but there's something about them that doesn't quite 100% it for me.
Right.
But again,
I definitely want to see it because I really like Emma Stone. So and Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, just be wary that there's a lot of gore, there's a lot of sex and nudity, and
I hate all those things.
And it's like, don't watch it with your parents and don't watch it with your kids.
Yeah. I think the only movie that, as you were saying, of these movies where people are like, "Oh my god, it's amazing!" The only movie that held up to that in the last few years was Barbie.
Yeah,
the only one that I was like, "Yeah, I get it."
Yeah, that was really good. Because Oppenheimer didn't for me.
No, I mean, most of these, I'll see them. I'm gonna wait 5 years and see all these movies and be like, okay,
just kind of get in your bunker. But I will say this, man. Willem Dafoe is one of the greatest actors ever.
So brilliant.
He is so unbelievably watchable. He is just he is a guy that continues to surpass himself and challenge himself. I like no other actor I know.
Yeah.
You know, because he's like, what, his 60s,
He's got to be
70s
his
now?
late 60s, yeah.
And I don't necessarily, it's not respect, but I don't, guys like Christian Bale or Matthew McConaughey who lose 100 pounds or gain 100 pounds and you physically transform and method or whatever, they're good or whatever, but he doesn't need to do this stuff. You know, he throws some makeup on or whatever.
Yeah.
He's perfect all the time. And I've never seen him give a bad performance. He was in Boondock Saints, baby.
Oh, I know.
He was the only good thing in there.
Oh, yeah, yeah. He was brilliant.
And unfortunately, he's the only good thing in a lot of movies. But he's always the good thing.
Yeah.
He's never the bad thing in a movie. I don't think I can think of one thing he's ever done that I haven't thought was great.
No. He's incredible.
His take on the Green Goblin for the newest Spider-Man movie.
Oh my God, so good.
I mean,
so
he
good.
completely changed that character into something that was was one of the most well-rounded, dynamic villains we've ever.
Yeah. I've ever seen in a movie, definitely in a superhero movie, but in a movie, period.
Yeah,
he was. Yeah,
so it's definitely worth seeing for him and Emma Stone too. I mean, it was a fearless performance from her,
nice,
and a difficult performance that she nailed, and she deserved the Oscar.
Yeah,
she was great. So it's definitely worth a look.
Okay,
you know, be cautious if you don't like gory or a lot of sex and stuff.
It's not for you. Yeah.
But those are our movies.
Yeah, movies.
I'm sure we missed a bunch.
I'm sure. TV stuff. I finally finished watching Silo. It was really funny because I thought it was only 8 episodes. And I watched the 8th episode and I was like, that's the worst ending to a show I've ever seen. And there were 2 more episodes. Nice. But the end of it, they've already finished filming the 2nd season in March of this year. I think they've already agreed, or they were at least considering renewing it for a 3rd and 4th, immediately. So that way, because the 4th would be the last.
Right.
That would be it. It would tell the whole story. It was really good. Highly recommend it.
Apple TV?
Apple TV Plus, yeah. And it's done so well. Rebecca Ferguson is so good in it.
She's an amazing actor.
Yeah, and it's done so well, and the way that it all comes back around, it's very well written.
Cool.
Very excited in the last shot. It's one of those shows where, like, the last shot of it, it's a good season, and it theoretically could have ended, but the last shot opens it up to so many more other things.
I love that.
You know, kind of like I did finish also watching Mr. and Mrs. Smith,
right?
Which the last 30 seconds of that show, part of me is like, I kind of hope they don't do more because it's so messed up.
Yeah.
But it was good, you know, and it was done in that way. But Silo is so good. I'm very excited about it. I haven't been like this into a show in a while.
Nice.
So
that's weird. I did start it when it first came out, and I think I just kind of forgot about it. But with your glowing review, I'll go back and watch it.
Something about it just grabbed me and was like, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the, hey, we're underground and some weird things happened and now we're a society, you know. I mean, that's kind of a thing.
Like Snowpiercer, where it's like you have to live in a certain way.
Yes,
or,
like you're forced into this, you know, some situation that you have
don't
to
go
in.
above ground.
Yeah. But it's really good. Highly recommend it.
For people who don't know, what is the basic premise of Silo?
The thing is that they've been underground. 10,000 people lived in this underground silo for so long that they don't even know why they're down there anymore.
Oh, wow.
It's been at least 200 to 300 years, and it's a self-sustaining society.
Yeah.
Like, they can survive. They always hover around 10,000 people. But there was some, like, rebellion that happened trying to overthrow, and they've actually had so technically there was rebellion, and it was 200 to 300 years after that is when the show takes place. We don't even know how long it actually was before that.
Yeah.
They have no communication with the outside world. If people choose to, they can choose to leave the silo.
Yeah.
And they have these viewing places in their cafeterias
where
they can watch people go outside. They call it cleaning, where they clean off the outside sensors and stuff, so that way they can see if maybe we can go outside, you know. And inevitably they walk 10 feet and then they die.
Yeah, I do remember that part. I do.
Yeah, that's because the first episode had 2 characters that I thought it was Rashida Jones, and then her husband in the show, whose name I don't remember, but like I thought she was gonna be one of the main characters, and she literally dies in the first 10 minutes, and I was like, oh, okay. But there's a reason for that. And this is the beautiful part of it, is that all that setup is all explained in the first season.
That's great.
Not that what happened, like the bigger story,
Yeah.
but like them going out and dying
Sure.
and like what the outside actually is and all that stuff is all explained in that first
Good.
season. So,
People try. This is what happened with Lost and so many different things. You just try to keep that mystery going too long.
yeah.
I really enjoy shows that kind of solve its own mystery and then have another mystery for the next.
Yes, I am a big fan of the onion effect. You know, you start with something, you peel it away. Oh, there's more. You peel it away. There's more. Lost to me was very much that way. There were some sheaths of that onion that were really bad, but like they didn't quite work as well. But like this is something that I know it's based on a 3-book series.
You say true story.
A true story. I know it's based on a 3-book series. I know that it has an ending.
Yeah.
And the fact that Apple TV is willing to go, okay, we're going to put everything into this and make this a complete story.
Good.
Like that to me is exciting.
Yeah.
It makes me want to promote it more and like get people to watch it because it was just done so well.
Well, cool.
Silo, great show. Highly recommend it.
Apple TV Plus.
I am so tempted to read the books, but I want to experience the show without knowing anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In fact, I started watching some like hey, explaining the ending of the series, like these YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, "Well, I've read the books, so I'm not going to spoil anything." And I immediately turned it off. I was like, "You're gonna say something that's not, because I don't know, and I'm curious. This world was so interesting, and I'm really curious to see what in the hell is going on."
Nice. Yeah, it sounds great. I'm going to definitely dive back into it.
Yeah, you should. You should. But when I came back from Death Valley, my birthday trip, I binged 3 Body Problem.
Yeah.
Which is almost the exact opposite of Silo. I didn't dislike the show.
Yeah.
But if the show doesn't get picked up for more, and it's also based on a 3-book series.
And a 3-body problem.
And if it doesn't get picked up for more, then it will probably be the worst season of TV I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree. I finished that as well. It just started getting interesting.
Yeah.
And not that it wasn't interesting. And
there's some definitely very interesting stuff in it.
look, the thing that I love the most about it, and this isn't really giving away anything, but a slow motion alien invasion. And the fact that there's an alien invasion coming in 400 years, I think is a brilliant conceit.
Yes.
I don't think we've seen that before.
No, knowing that they're coming,
Yeah.
and knowing that it's like, well, what are you going to do?
Right. And all of these people working so hard for something that they'll be dead by the time.
Right.
And their families will be dead. You know, it's like anybody that they've ever known will be dead too. And yet they're still putting everything they can into.
I think that was part of it with the first season, was that I was kind of hoping that it was like the end of the first season would end up being, and I've not read the books, so I don't know, but the end of the first season would end up being like, oh, it's 100 years later and all the characters are different. But they're just not going to do that.
Yeah, and the one thing that really creeped me out, and I'm going to just keep it vague because I don't want to spoil anything, but being a brain in a box, I just kept thinking, what if you're aware, man?
Yeah.
What if you have awareness and you're blind and you're deaf, but you still have nerve endings in your brain, right? So you would be able to feel technically.
Yeah.
There is a nervous system.
Feel real cold.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, it's not like your imagination would start creating worlds for you to live in. Right. I think you would just be stuck in this black void, paralyzed for 7 million years.
Well, have you read Johnny Got His Gun? I mean,
No.
that's essentially, it's a Vietnam soldier who comes back that is blind, deaf, lost his arms and legs, but is still alive, can't talk. He's just there.
Is that a true story?
Yes. That's what the song One by Metallica is based on, which the chorus is literally, please kill me. Like, it's just over and over again.
Well, I couldn't imagine. Like, that's torture. That would be awful. Life. That is no quality of life there.
No, what do you do? Yeah.
I mean, he can't write anything down. He can't speak or
can't
anything.
Communicate at all. Like, what do you do? But you know he's alive, and he knows he's alive.
That's horrifying.
Awful. You want to talk about hell? Ooh.
Good Lord, yeah, definitely.
But 3 Body Problem was interesting. I actually started watching it because I kept getting these YouTube videos thrown at me of like talking about not necessarily the show, but the actual 3 Body Problem.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, I kind of know what it is, but I need to see
Right.
so I don't get anything spoiled and blah, blah, blah.
Essentially, the three-body problem is about a planet that has 3 stars.
Yeah. Well, it's not – in science, it's just
Yes.
anything that's 3 bodies together.
Right, which if you have an orbit, then, one thing's going to catch the orbit, the other's going to catch the orbit. It'll pull you out, and there is this whole aspect to it of trying to solve the 3-body problem.
There's no way to predict with the gravitational wells. I watched the whole thing with Neil deGrasse Tyson. There's no way to predict with any of our computational technology of where that planet would end up being pulled by 3 different gravitational wells.
And when and how
and so they and that I thought the whole game thing in the show was great of them trying to figure out the problem.
Yeah.
And the fact that they eventually got to almost 10,000 civilizations and realized, hey, we just need to leave. It's like, okay. But getting there was really interesting. And I thought that stuff was interesting.
It really picked up speed in the last couple of episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it really focused itself, and it started becoming interesting as, it just kind of dragged. It didn't need to be
there was a lot
as long
of setup.
as it was.
Yeah, a lot of setup. And stuff happens, but it felt very much like the first season of House of the Dragon, where it was like it just felt like a lot of setup.
Well, when you told me that they took one character and made it into 3 characters, I think that to me was one of the biggest problems. Is I think there was too much going on. I think there were too many different stories. I, like you, enjoyed the group of friends who somehow are the center of this situation.
Yeah.
But like Eliza Gonzalez, she was great. But it's like, what? Okay, so now what? It's like she kind of served her purpose in the script.
I know.
And then they shoved her off to South America.
Yeah.
Jess Hong, very interesting character.
She's great. Yeah.
And the whole love triangle, not love triangle, but, Alex Sharp and he was great. I thought the best part about it.
Yes.
The 2 best parts about it were Benedict Wong.
Yes.
Who you may know from Doctor Strange.
Yeah. It's Wong.
A big stretch.
Yeah.
And Liam Cunningham.
Liam Cunningham is so good.
He was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he was the guy who had his fingers missing.
Yeah.
The sailor guy who had his fingers missing.
who was like the right hand of the king,
one of the kings.
But he didn't have fingers, so right hand,
he's so good, though.
He's an actor that for the last 40 years has looked exactly the same.
Yes.
He's somewhere between 40 and 70. You can never tell.
He's one of those people that I could literally just listen to his voice forever.
Yes. And Benedict Wong has this quality about him where he is just watchable. Like just him being on screen is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, half the first 5 episodes, half of the time is him looking at stuff, and it's so interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's an incredible actor, and like I said, it gets interesting at the end when they kind of pair him together with Giovanni Depo. If I'm saying that correctly. Another great actor.
His character was really interesting.
Interesting too, and a lot of interesting things. And again, I think the second season, hopefully they'll make it.
There's no word yet. I assume it's going to get made.
Well, I think now that there's so many characters that are gone, they can focus more. I was a little bummed that the experiment, the brain experiment went haywire.
Went
because I thought that whole concept would have been so interesting for them.
I know, I agree.
To
have somebody meet.
Yes.
But again, though, this is the thing. There was no indication that they're not going to have the show just be these characters.
Right.
And it's like the only way that could have been interesting is that if this ship flies out to meet the aliens that are coming, and then they put them back together, and then they have conversations, but that's still going to take like 200 years.
Right.
And so none of the Earthbound characters are going to be alive.
Because it would have been so much, it would have been interesting, like especially if they do a time jump, and then maybe this character is now on their side, or...
Yeah.
I mean, they did a lot of interesting things, the way that they... I don't want to spoil anything, but the way that they dealt with Liam Cunningham's character at the end, and what he went through, which is scary as F, man.
Yeah,
There's so many things. It's definitely worth a watch.
It's definitely. I mean, but again, like I said, if just if Netflix goes, this didn't really do what we wanted and there's no more, then it was such a waste of time.
Yeah, it was. And I won't cry if it isn't renewed.
No,
but
I mean,
I hope that it is. I really do.
Honestly, if that's the case, then I'm just going to read the books.
Yeah.
And be done with it.
Definitely. If it is canceled, then it did garner enough interest in me to want to know what happens and read the books.
Right, exactly.
Which we're going to be better anyway. So
that's true. That's true.
But yeah, so Three Body Problem, definitely worth a look.
Yeah, definitely worth a see. There's some. Oh my God, man! There is a particular sequence with a boat going through the Panama Canal that is one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen on screen.
Oh yeah,
done so well.
Yes, there are a few
so
scenes
terrifying
in this TV show that are brilliant.
So good, so good.
So yeah, definitely check it out. Is it? It's like a 7.5, maybe. Another.
I mean, depending on the. I think if the rest of the season works and they tell a full story, that
series.
The rest of the series goes, and that this season might end up being higher rated for me if
it blends in with everything else.
Yeah. But it's one of those, like, part of me is like, I kind of wish that they just did, because they Benioff and Weiss talked about it being like 3 or 4 seasons, and like it's like, okay, well, if Netflix that's the case, you're giving so much money to Zack Snyder, just let him make all of it and then just be done with it.
Yes.
And then like just parcel it out, you know.
Just don't make Rebel Moon 3, idiots.
Yeah, I just allow them to tell the full story. I just
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun.
Anyway.
So I watched, and this I was super surprised, and I loved it. Was the Fallout show?
More underground bunkers?
Definitely. I'm a fan of the Fallout games. I started, I believe, at Fallout 3. I never played the PC stuff.
Oh yeah. The 2 original top downs.
Yes. I loved Fallout 3. Fallout New Vegas is one of my top RPGs of all time. Fallout 4 is fine. I'm actually kind of excited. Like 20 years later, they're finally releasing the promised. I think in 2017 or 18, whenever that console came out, they promised that they were going to make a Fallout 4 upgrade for the PS5. It's coming out this week. If you're listening to this, it's out. It was out yesterday.
It came out yesterday? Okay.
So I'm a fan of the franchise.
Yeah.
It's such a unique franchise and such a unique take on the post-apocalypse genre.
Right.
Because it's got this very 50s feel to it. All the music is very like Frank Sinatra and swing.
Very retro futuristic.
100%.
Which is awesome.
Yes. And so the aesthetic is already something that I adore. And the show is its own thing, but it doesn't forget the fans. And that's the key to an adaptation. Adaptation. We've had 3 wonderful video game adaptations in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
With The Last of Us, brilliant.
So good.
Twisted Metal, so much fun.
So much fun.
And Fallout. And the reason why all 3 of these, we were talking about this, the reason why all 3 of these shows are so great is because they understand the source material. They celebrate the source material without making it precious.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I think that's the problem with video game adaptations in the past. And I'm looking at you, Witcher. If you don't respect the fans and if you don't love the source material and you, in the case of The Witcher, are actively against it.
Right.
And are semi-hostile to its fans, the way that they killed Roach in the first season unceremoniously just, shows how little.
I don't remember that at all.
Exactly. Roach was the Witcher's horse, which is a huge part of
the game.
Yeah, and and granted,
it's your horse.
But granted, he names all of his horses Roach.
Doesn't matter.
But
Doesn't
still,
matter.
It was to those of us who played the game. We loved Roach, and what they did was garbage. And so again, and this is going to be. They know this is the last season of Witcher coming out, and it doesn't have Henry Cavill. It's got Liam Hemsworth.
I almost said Liam Cunningham.
Liam Gallagher.
Liam Gallagher
from Oasis. Anyway, so let's get back to the good stuff. So
yeah.
So Fallout what's so great about it is they kind of follow the RPG formula, and the Pip-Boy. For those of you who aren't well versed in the Fallout universe, the Vault Dwellers, these are the people that before the nuclear holocaust, they went down to live in these vaults that were supposed to be these, societies that you could live in.
To rebuild America
right.
at some point when the radiation goes away.
Right. And if you know the lore of the games, it's a much more sinister plan that they have for the vaults. And so we have this Vault Dweller, played by Ella Purnell.
So good.
She's great. Didn't know she's either English or Australian or something. She was really good. I never watched the second season, but she was really good.
Yellow Jackets.
She was in Yellow Jackets.
She was in that.
Yeah. She was great in Yellow Jackets. Really great actor. She's the Vault Dweller that, for circumstances that happen in the first episode, has to leave the vault.
Yes.
To basically find her father. She is great. And Aaron Clifton Moten plays Maximus, who is a
part of the Brotherhood of Steel.
Yes, he is a squire for the Brotherhood of Steel.
Squire, yes.
And his whole adventure. And then you've got Michael Emerson from Lost, who plays.
I haven't gotten to his character yet.
Oh, yeah, he is great. I mean,
I've only seen the first episode, so don't spoil anything.
No, I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just telling you who's in it. And Kyle MacLachlan plays Ella's father. Has such a great.
He's fantastic.
He's amazing. There's also this actor Moises Arias, who was in this movie. It was a small movie that came out a while ago called The Kings of Summer. Did you see this?
No.
Came out in 2013. It was this sleeper movie with Nick Offerman, Alison Brie, Megan Mullally, and about these three friends. And Moises Arias stole the show. Watching him, play more adult role, playing a kid then. But he is such a good actor, and his role in this is amazing. But
is he the little brother?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He's a little brother that lives in the vault. He plays Ella Purnell's brother. But the guy who steals the whole goddamn show is Walton Goggins.
Oh, and yeah.
The more I see Walton Goggins, like Walton Goggins and Timothy Olyphant, those guys could just do everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the more I see Walton Goggins, ever since I saw him on The Shield, I was captivated by this guy.
Yeah.
And from drama to comedy, from bad guys to good guys to in between.
Oh my God. Yeah. Vice Principals.
Oh, Jesus.
He was so good in that.
Yeah, and the Righteous Gemstones, he's amazing.
Yeah, he's such a good actor.
In everything he does. The guy is an absolute genius and just seems like the most down-to-earth, nicest guy. With the craziest father. Oh, my God, man. He talks about his daddy.
Yeah.
I got to talk about my daddy. His dad is this character just covered in turquoise jewelry, cowboy hat. He looks, and he, according to Walt Goggins, his dad thinks he's a celebrity. And his daddy, whenever he comes around, he's got this, he dresses to the nines, and everybody's always paying attention to him. I love Walt Goggins. And his take on the ghoul is, it's half Clint Eastwood, it's half Raylan Gibbon. It's just it's a cowboy ghoul, and the truth is, like, his character, without spoiling anything, is just so integral to every single aspect of the lore, from the very beginnings of Vault Tech being put together to where we are now. Mm-hmm. He transcends the entire history of the show. And they answer some questions about, like, the Pip-Boy, the guy? Pip-Boy. Yeah. It's great. It's great. If you're a fan of Fallout, even if you're not a fan of Fallout, if you're a fan of sci-fi or post-apocalyptic stuff, it's just a great mixture of action and comedy and drama, and it captures the spirit, just like Twisted Metal and Last of Us. It knows its source material, and it gleans the best from it and leaves out the worst. And I can't wait for the second season. It was one of those that I binged in like 3 days.
This is another one that Amazon is like, we were doing a second season, to the point where they moved it back to California. They were shooting in New York, and they moved it back to California, and so it's there's definitely a second season coming.
Well, yeah, I mean, people are playing Fallout 4 and Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 76.
Crazy. Fallout 76 has got its like record numbers now because of the show.
It's gotten a lot better.
And that show is the game's got a lot better.
Yeah, but definitely check it out. I can't recommend it enough. I had so much fun watching this show, and talent crush overload with Walton Goggins. My daddy. So definitely watch that.
Yeah, I'm excited to finish it. Phoebe and I are watching it, so we watch things a little slower than when I'm just watching stuff by myself. But I'm excited to finish it, and she really liked the first episode. So
if you're the kind of person that doesn't like watching things where animals get hurt, just know that there's an animal part that it seems like it's really bad, but it's not. So you can go through with it. Yeah, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
The dog is fine.
Yeah, I said that. I told her that.
Because it's very scary at one point, and I'm like, what the F? But it's just they know how to do it. There's side quests. There's the people meeting up. It's very much a really great love letter to RPGs and to Fallout itself.
Nice.
I also watched, Conan O'Brien Must Go.
Yeah.
That show is pure joy. I laughed so hard. I laughed out loud. My biggest complaint of the show is that it's only 4 episodes.
Yeah.
It is so amazing. This guy, I love Conan O'Brien. I think he is right behind Johnny Carson and David Letterman as the best of the late night talk show hosts. He's just so goofy and funny and smart. And the conceit of the show is brilliant. He has this podcast. I don't know if you guys know what those are. It's called a podcast where people talk. Nobody has them. They're very rare. But he has this podcast called Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. And on some of the episodes, he'll talk to a fan. Conan O'Brien Needs a Fan is the segment that they do. And it's and so he'll talk to people all over the world, and they'll say, he'll joke around with them or whatever. And then, they're always like, well, if you're ever in Spain, you're ever in Nicaragua. And so this show is basically, he shows up to these fans and like, hey, and they're like, wah! And it's the greatest travel show I've ever seen because he does I couldn't imagine doing some of the things he does, which are absolutely hilarious, but just take a lot of guts.
Yeah.
And the guy's 60, and he's doing Muay Thai in 100-degree weather, for like 3 hours. I watched some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, and it's just amazing the lengths this guy will go to get a laugh. But it's not desperate. I don't know how to explain him. He is the most desperate for a laugh human being ever.
Right.
But he makes that so entertaining. Yeah. His desperation is fake, of course.
Yeah.
But it's also partially real.
But it's real. Yes.
But he exaggerates it. He exaggerates it to an effect that is just so great. And I just could not stop watching this show. I had a smile on my face the entire time. If you want something that's just going to bring you joy without any sort of politics or nonsense or anything controversial, anything that's going to put a scowl on your face, watch this show. It's the antidote to the world right now, Give yourself, I wish I would have spread it out more because only 4 episodes, but
he has other travel shows he's done.
Oh, yeah. No, I've seen those too. But there's something about this one that is just so well put together and is just so ridiculously funny. And he's just amazing at interacting with people.
Right.
And he's Jack Benny, man. He is the Jack Benny of our time. That's the only way I can say it, but better than Jack Benny.
Well, it's definitely on my list. I do watch a lot of travel shows.
Yeah.
In fact, the reason I haven't watched it yet is because we were finishing watching The Reluctant Traveler with Eugene Levy, which is ironic because he's going through Europe this time, only 7 episodes, but everywhere he goes now, in the background is just people with cameras, like phones, like just
Aw.
constantly on him. I'm just
That's
like,
a shame. That kind of takes you out of
yeah.
Kind of takes you out of it.
But I'm excited to watch it because I love travel shows, so I'm excited to see this and see how he handles it. I've loved his Conan's others travel shows. I mean,
I can't recommend it enough. I can't
he's
recommend
such a
it enough.
weird goofball.
Oh my God, he is just pure entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, the guy is smart. I just love smart, dumb comedy.
Yeah.
And there's nobody that does smart, dumb comedy better than him.
If you have a chance, watch the Hot Ones, the season finale. Conan O'Brien is not just the weirdest goofball ever. I don't know how he must have like a jaw of steel because not only did he go through all of the hot wings, but he would add extra hot wing like sauce.
Oh my God.
And then he would sometimes just drink the sauce. And there was a great moment where suddenly he's just like, I've made a terrible choice. He's like, my insides have turned to acid. But he never showed it in his face. Like, man, he was
The guy's brilliant. Brilliant.
it made him a little more crazy, but it's very fun. It's very fun.
He's just so funny. I love his podcast.
Yeah.
He's such a great interviewer, and he has a really interesting story, you know, going from Harvard to The Simpsons to Saturday Night Live to being, you know, I remember being in a bar, I think it was in Belize, when the announcement of him taking over for Letterman, and we were all riveted about who was going to take over for Letterman.
Right.
And I turned to Larry, Laser Tag Larry. He and I went backpacking through Europe for like We went backpacking through Central America for about 6 weeks.
Oh wow.
And he and I are sitting in this bar, and they're like, hey, it's going to be Conan O'Brien. And both of us are like, who? Who the F is that? What is the goofy-looking dude?
Yeah.
And then I found out he wrote for The Simpsons, and I'm like, oh, I'm in. I'm 100% in.
Yeah.
He wrote The Monorail? Oh, I'm in. I am in.
Yeah.
And such an uphill battle for him.
Oh yeah.
Nobody thought he could do
everything.
it.
Always.
It's so much fun to hear him talk about the beginnings of the show and just how horrifying it was. You know, every day people were either commenting on his looks or commenting on his nervousness or this or that. And it's just for the first 3 or 4 months of his show, it's just this barrage of negativity. And he pushed through it and survived for 20-something years.
Yeah, he had a great story on the Hot Ones episode talking about how early on he was like, the animal guy came on and he had this yak and they were just like, get on it. And he's like, okay. And he gets on it and it just bucked him off. Like he broke his shoulder. And he was like, this thing's just trampling around. They didn't know what to do. He was like, I would never do that now.
Yeah.
But at the time it was like, I have to.
Well, when you're young, you do dumb stuff. You don't think about your safety. You don't think about, I'll walk it off. I can get hurt.
There's cameers on me. I got to do it. I got to do it. I got to do it.
Go for the laugh. And then as you get older, you're like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
But definitely.
Yeah. I'll do it within the next week. I'm sure I'll probably be doing
it. I loved it. Last show.
We both watched, just came out on Netflix. Yeah. Baby Reindeer.
Baby Reindeer.
Essentially about Richard Gadd. He's a playwright. He's done a bunch of one-man shows at the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh. He's won a bunch of awards. He's written for a bunch of stuff. He's an actor. But apparently for a couple of years in the middle of the 2010s, he was stalked by an older woman.
Yes. Oh, and a horrible stand-up comic.
That was the part of it is when I realized that it was actually him playing the character, I was like, dude's got balls to show how bad his stand-up was.
I wonder if that was his stuff.
I'm sure it was. I wouldn't be surprised. Although it's a character he's playing, so it's not necessarily him, quote-unquote him.
It is such an unsettling show. I do. Okay. I started watching it. I got the first episode. I'm like, oh, okay, creeps. Second episode, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just take a break.
Yeah.
I binged the whole thing.
Yeah.
And
I did
the
same thing.
I stayed up way too late last night.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I have to finish it. I was 2 episodes out, and it's getting later and later and later. And I'm like, but I might fall asleep. And I'm like, but they're not going to fall asleep. But I had to finish it. I had to know what was going to happen. One of the most unsettling things about it for me were the text message or the emails.
The emails.
The way she spelled stuff.
iPhone.
Yes.
iPhone.
And
sent from my iPhone.
And that, like the sent from my iPhone thing just was kind of a barometer on how unsettled she is.
Yeah. It was
and
brilliant.
And it was, I've never seen messages that creeped me out more.
Oh, I know.
Than the way she wrote and the spelling mistakes. And it's just
hundreds of emails every day. Hundreds.
It reminded me a lot of a Stephen King story, especially like the way that the messages were presented. And there is a bit of a misery aspect
definitely
to this.
The Annie Wilkins.
But to me, this was the most interesting stalker story I have ever watched.
Yeah.
Because of his fearless way of portraying himself, his failings.
Right.
He's not a good guy.
No. And he's
not a bad guy.
And a lot of, it's interesting how it delves so deep into how he's kind of letting it happen because of certain things.
But the way it unfolds, because you see stuff where you're like, this guy's a dick, or this whatever.
Yeah.
But then you go back and you see what happened to him.
Right.
And the reason why he acts that way.
Right.
And the stuff that he went through. And then even going through that, the choices he makes, it's a fearless
it's
thing.
It's pretty good, yeah.
It's one of the most fearless portrayals, autobiographical portrayals, because he says right at the beginning, this is a true story.
Yeah.
But the fact that he presents himself in such an unflattering and raw manner,
right,
was brilliant.
Yeah. And it started life as a one-man show, and they're only it's 7 episodes. They're only half hour each ish.
Yeah.
So it's about 3.5 hours. You can get through it in a night essentially. I don't know if I'd recommend that, but
oh baby, I had weird dreams, weird effing dreams.
But I will say, the woman that plays Martha, his stalker, Jennifer Gunning, is so brilliant. If she does not win awards for this, it is a crime. It
is such an unsettling performance. She is fearless in this performance, and her kind, sweet face belies
the insanity,
with her, and it's unlike any stalker thing you've ever seen because it is so well rounded.
Yeah. So many layers.
And you see both sides. Talk about it peeling an onion, baby.
Oh, yeah.
And again, not a lot of times, unless it's like, I slept with her and now she's stalking me. Oh, that's my culpability.
Yeah.
You don't see somebody admit the culpability that they have in the stalker situation.
Right.
And it's not like he really led her on too much. And it's not like he had sex with her. And it's not like...
he was nice to her. And that was part of that. And he felt kind of sad for her.
Yeah.
Felt sorry for her.
Yeah.
But for some people, that's enough.
Yeah.
It's like...
It hit something in me.
Yeah.
And it made me remember stuff or relive stuff that I've been through that made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is an amazing thing that a piece of art can do, where it can make you feel uncomfortable, but you still want to watch it. It can dredge up feelings of your own inadequacies, of your own cringe moments.
Yes.
Of things that you've done. And I think it just kind of swirled up a bunch of crap in my head, and then I went to sleep, and my brain was like, "We're working some stuff out, buddy. It ain't gonna be fun." But
it's just done. It was written so well.
Oh my god!
There were times where I identified with both the characters.
Yes,
because when I was younger, man, I was very much more like Martha.
Sure,
where it was just like, I can't really talk to you, but everything you say is confirmation that obviously we should be together.
Yeah,
and
unfortunately, being nice to people sometimes that have.
Yeah.
This is what's so sad, is that there are people that if you just give them a little bit of kindness because they've never had it.
Yeah, they've been so bereft of kindness their entire life.
They don't know how to process it, and then they see it as. Then they become delusional about something that isn't there.
Become obsessive.
Yeah.
It's like they need that all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like, her character, and this isn't really spoiling anything, but she has a past about being a stalker.
Well, that's to me was the most messed up part, is that very early on in the show, he finds out that she has a past at this, and he's like, but...
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, dude, what are you doing?
And that's what's brilliant about it,
Yeah.
is because you don't think that somebody being stalked is like, well, maybe I can use that fame of her to help me.
Right.
It's scummy, but it's not something that everybody would think about it.
Right.
You know?
Right. You would
Not
consider
necessarily
it.
act on it, but we all have these dark thoughts. We all have these dark instances where none of us are perfect. None of us are, maybe some of us are. I definitely am not. But we definitely have moments when we make bad decisions for bad reasons.
Yeah.
And then we're like, well, why did this turn out so bad? When we knew from the beginning it would.
It was going to be bad, man.
Especially when you're younger and your libido is a lot more on fire and you make choices that you shouldn't make, but you're making them with your lowers and not your uppers.
Right.
And we've, a lot of us have been there, and it's just this is just one, if not the most captivating and interesting stalker story I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree. Highly recommend it. It's done very, very well. It's very good.
Yes.
Very good character work.
Watch it.
Highly recommend it.
What you playing?
I finally have been playing Dead Island 2.
Nice. It's just you and I back and forth in the same game.
I know.
For the next 20 years.
There's so many things that I'm like, I am going to start. I think, I don't think I've got that much more in Dead Island 2. Because it's not a long story.
No.
But I think I am going to try to play Fallout 4 as soon as it gets the PS5 upgrade.
Oh, very cool.
Because I've never played it. I've never played any of the Fallout games. I have a weird thing with Bethesda and how they do their RPGs.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to get past that. I've played a little bit of Skyrim, so I'm like, okay. But I really like the show, so I'm going to try to get past that. And I love the concept.
It's great, and I think it'll be better. Like, Bethesda's games are janky and weird.
I know.
And look, they've been using the same crap engine forever. They use the same crap engine for Starfield, which is why people, why it has 8 hours of loading times and stuff. It's like, move on to Real Engine 5, people.
It's not hard.
Nobody likes your engine. Nobody likes your engine.
It's not good. It's
not even you. It's just, I guess they just want the proprietary. They don't have to license anything or whatever. They have their own in-house engine, but baby, that engine is old and it needs to be replaced.
But Dead Island 2 is very fun. It's very pretty. I am very much excited about running around. Like, I'm in Santa Monica and Venice right now.
Yeah.
So it's very fun to run around that stuff and kill zombies. And I literally yesterday went I was in a mall and I'm like killing zombies and I was like, okay, eventually they'll stop. No, they just keep coming. I spent 4 hours, not 4 hours, an hour, just going through and just killing. And then finally I was like, I need to go somewhere to fix my weapons because this isn't going to work anymore. But it was just nonstop. But it was fun. And the gore in that game is incredible.
Yes.
It is rendered so well.
Yeah. The anatomy system they have on that.
Hitting somebody in the face and then watching their jaw dangling by one little tendon as they try to attack you is so messed up and so amazing.
Or shooting them with the caustic substance and watching them melt into goo.
A lot of melting.
Great gore, really great gore. And, as zombie games, for the most part, are just goof. Last of Us, I wouldn't call it a zombie game. I would call it an adventure game. It was but zombie games are supposed to be fun and goofy and dumb. You don't need a riveting story. It's supposed to be like a B movie.
It's fun. It's just fun. And that's Dead Island 2 is definitely that.
Yeah.
It's just a silly, the writing's not great.
Nope.
The voice acting's pretty good.
Yeah.
They've done a pretty good job with that. The graphics look amazing, but it's just you running from place to place, helping people and fighting zombies. And
not a lot of difference.
No.
From beginning to end, there's not a lot of difference. The weapons change.
The best is that being able to customize weapons is really the best. Every time I find something that's a little different or new, I'm like, ooh, this will be interesting to see how it kills people.
Well, it was also interesting, too, because you only can keep a certain amount of weapons in your inventory. And, balancing out a caustic one with a fire one.
Right.
And you need to have
the
electrical one. And they all serve a different purpose, and you can Rube Goldberg a whole bunch of crap together. It's a very fun diversion. It's it'll take you a few days to play, maybe a week, or two if you're giving it a couple hours, And yeah, I'm glad you're playing it. I'm glad you like it.
It's fun. It's fun. I bought and downloaded this game, Harold Halibut.
Oh, yeah.
Which I have not had a chance to play yet. It was a very large game. Took a while to download. But it came out on my birthday.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was on sale. And I was like, okay.
I told them to do that.
My birthday present to myself, yeah.
I called the publishers.
It's weird. Find the trailer.
Yeah.
And look at it. It's like stop motion puppets.
Oh, it is.
But like digitized.
Well, what they did was they created every puppet. They created every set.
Yeah.
Just like they were going to make a stop motion film.
Right.
And then they digitized all the assets.
Right.
So everything is handmade.
Yes. It took them 12 years, I think, to make the game.
Yeah.
But the story looks so good about this underwater city, but it's very similar. Like something has happened above ground, and above the water, and they're down there, very similar to Silo and Fallout.
Yeah.
But it's a society kind of, and going through. It looks really interesting. I'm very excited to play through it.
It's like if Wes Anderson made a video game, basically.
Yeah.
It's got that vibe.
It definitely feels like that. Yeah.
Everything seems very handmade, and the detail from what I've seen a couple of behind the scenes videos and the trailers and stuff.
Yeah.
It just looks like one of the most unique gaming experiences I've ever seen.
Yes. I'm all about interesting art design in video games.
And indie. We're very supportive of the indie game community, and each of us tries to purchase at least one indie a month.
Yeah.
Even if it's $2 or $1, you can get a lot of good stuff for nothing.
Yeah. I did also download the Contra anniversary, 30th anniversary or 40th anniversary. I don't know what it is, but It's got like 15 of the Contra games on it.
Oh, my God.
And, man, they're still just as hard as they were 40 years ago.
That's the thing. We were talking about this because I got it, too. It was on sale for like $3 or something.
Yeah.
And Contra was my jam as a kid.
Yeah.
Not a kid. I don't know. I was probably in college or high school when it came out. But I just remember hours and hours and hours playing that with friends, and it just brought back so many memories when I started playing it. But what I've noticed with this, and I got Super SNES Star Wars, for a couple of bucks a while ago, and a couple of other. They're playing the 50th anniversary Atari
thing. Yeah,
games were so much harder.
So much harder.
So I can't believe I even got through them.
I know. It's like I just don't understand. I'm sitting there like maybe this is me getting older, not having the patience anymore.
Yeah.
But I was just like, why would I have sat here for hours playing through this?
It's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane how. Because, games were much simpler back then, but there was a definite skill set needed to be able to get through this. And Contra was very tough, man. It was a hard game. And if your buddy effed up, then he cost you a life. You shared your lives. And the worst was, you have to jump up. You have to go vertical, right?
Yeah.
And if you get left behind, if you're not keeping up with your friend... then you'll die. So it's either your a-hole buddy who's not waiting for you. So you're like, dude, wait up, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Or it's your buddy who's not keeping up, and you're like, dude, come on, keep up, dude.
Yeah.
And so it lost a lot of friendships over content. Yeah. But yeah, it was so much fun playing. But again, it's
just hard.
The game, you kids don't know how easy you had it. Video games, you never got extra lives. You couldn't save. If you didn't finish it on the first try, you had to play it again.
The Konami code still does work on this.
Oh, thank God. But it's just...
It's fun, though. Yeah. It's definitely fun to go back, do that kind of retro stuff. It's fun. Yeah.
It's again, just nostalgia city.
Yeah.
But, I don't have... it's hard for me to play those for too long because I just feel like such a fool, such a loser.
It's just, but there was a lot of the stuff on there that apparently was from the same kind of franchise.
Yeah,
because there was a couple of games that were not Contra games that were included, and I did played a couple of them, and they're interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to go through and play through because I never played any of the arcade stuff. I just played the Nintendo version.
Oh yeah, it was arcade is where I started.
Yeah, but anyway, what else have you been playing?
I tried one of the new PS Plus games, Essential, for the PlayStation was Immortals of Avium.
Avium, that's
Avium.
I think it's Avium. I can never say it right.
Or Avinum, as it says. Is it Avinum or Avium?
No, that's why I'm looking. No, it's Avium. Immortals of Avium.
I played about half hour. It's interesting. It's the lead. in it. He's great. He was in Never Have I Ever. He was one of the leads in that show. He had a small part in Roadhouse where he hits Dalton and like hurts his hand.
Oh yeah, he's the kind of weird little sidekick that I wish there was more of. Yeah.
No, he's like a henchman.
No, I know, but he eventually kind of becomes his sidekick in the movie. Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah.
I so don't remember that movie. I blocked it all out. But he's a great actor. He's interesting, and it just seems like a Bruckheimer movie, or
like a kind of a big
budget. It's
budget,
pretty,
like, yeah.
It's an interesting first person shooter that has no guns. It's all magic, so it's kind of a BioShocky. Instead of a shotgun, you have like a blast of fruit bars. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far, but
fruit bars.
It seems interesting. Our friend Tucker got it when it came out.
Oh, really?
I remember him talking about it and enjoying it. So it's a very pretty game. It seems like it could be fun. I will give it more of a
eventually I'm going to download it and play it because I'm curious.
Yeah, it seems like it'll be fine. I also tried another one, was Skull, Skul. It's kind of a old timey platformer, roguelike, I guess, which is fine. It was fun playing a little bit. It's just those games get very difficult very fast.
Yeah,
for me, so it's hard for me to kind of.
Right.
Keep going.
Same. It's like Contra.
Exactly.
It just gets to the point where I'm like, what am I doing?
Why do I make myself feel so horrible about myself?
Yeah.
There is a game that came out this week, PlayStation exclusive, called Stellar Blade.
Yeah.
And there was a demo. So I tried the demo because I want to kind of, give you guys tips on stuff that isn't 14 years old. Oh, right. It's solid. Solid action game. It's very like Devil May Cry. Yeah. The combat is solid. The graphics are really good. I have no idea what the story is. Something about going to a planet and whatever. Everybody dies but you. Oh. And somebody else. I don't know. A lot of people died in the beginning. This is the first. It's very capable, fine game. It maybe if it comes down to like $10-20 or something, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like
that style of game just don't really do anything for me.
Yeah, I love Devil May Cry back in the day. Like I loved those kind of over the top action, fast fighting, gun shooting, sword slashing. The enemies are cool and everything. Again, I'm also not a fan of like the scantily clad, big buxom, jiggly protagonist. It just seems a little.
Oh, is she the protagonist?
Yes.
Oh.
And I guess you can get costumes that'll cover up a little more, or
less.
Mm-hmm. It's very pervy. It makes you feel a little pervy. But it's like Bayonetta or Devil May Cry. It's got that kind of vibe to it. And again, solid gameplay. It's just didn't grab me.
Yeah.
Didn't grab me. And again, mostly playing as the old man that I am.
Yeah.
Is still plugging along on Red Dead Redemption 2 on my third playthrough. It's so funny. I played through it again, and now on my third playthrough, I'm paying a lot more attention to the story and stuff that's going on. It is hands down the greatest game ever. Hands down the greatest story told, I think.
Yeah.
Hands down the most complicated and interesting protagonist of any game I've ever played. Arthur Morgan is so, and especially if you play him bad honor and good honor, it changes so much. You shape the world around how people perceive you. It's just so interesting. And I don't want to spoil anything for anybody that hasn't played it, even though it's like half a decade old at this point.
Sure.
But, things happen to Arthur that are bad. And I'm just finding it like, knowing what happens, I'm just dreading stuff. And I'm putting off things that I know because I don't want to get to that point.
Right.
Because it's so sad. But again, like, I cannot emphasize how much I connect with this video game. I think more than I've ever connected with any other video game. Even the first one, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
But it's just, there's something about it that speaks to me in a way that no other game ever has.
Wow.
And I think it's going to be like a yearly playthrough thing for me.
Nice.
At least until the third one comes out in 2060.
So you'll literally be playing it essentially for half a year every year for the rest of your life.
Exactly. But the thing is, I'm still finding stuff I've never found before.
Yeah.
In my third playthrough, I'm still stumbling upon stuff that I've never seen, or even from making a different choice.
Yeah.
Stuff that I've never experienced before. So again, it's just one of those games that the replayability and the longevity of it is it's insane. But,
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's it.
All right. Well, we should probably wrap it up. We've been going real long.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot to talk about. So I guess our movie, unfortunately, our big movie recommendation for the month is Little Women.
Yeah. It was the best movie I watched this year. This month. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think maybe Lisa Frankenstein.
Yeah. For new stuff, Lisa Frankenstein's worth a watch.
It's interesting enough.
Yeah.
For TV, for me, it would be. I think that the number one would have to be Baby Reindeer.
Yeah. You should watch it, and it's short enough that you can watch it fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But highly
spread it out over a couple of days.
You should, because it is definitely some very deep feelings.
Oh my God! And just be warned. There's sexual assault. There's a lot of triggering things, I guess.
Very. Yes.
But they do a good job of kind of warning you of that.
Yeah.
Before the episodes, and then Fallout and Conan O'Brien Must Go. Conan O'Brien Must Go. Watch it just for the joy, just to get yourself a cup of tea, a cup of coffee. Throw that on. If you're in a bad mood, I guarantee you, it'll make you smile. It'll make you laugh. It's a great antidote to today's awfulness.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I started watching The Amazing Race.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about The Amazing Race.
Yeah. Look, we need good stuff in our lives.
Yeah.
We need nourishing content that's going to enrich us rather than enrage us.
Everybody Feed Phil is very much that way too. It's very joyful, and
watch that.
it's really good. I highly recommend it. Good travel show, but very focused on food, but also very joyful.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, look, we're going to be starting up a new month next month.
Yeah.
It's our classic Connery month with Sean Connery.
It's going to be a fun month. I'm excited. There's a lot of movies that I've not seen in a long, long time.
Oh, it's always a crapshoot.
Yeah.
I always get nervous.
And actually, a couple I've not seen at all. So,
yeah, well, that's the thing is I always get a little nervous when there's something that I recommend that I loved as a kid that you haven't seen. Like I'm really nervous about Outland.
I think Outland's going to be good, but maybe that's me setting expectations for it. So we're starting with The Great Train Robbery.
The Great Train Robbery.
In 1978. Outlast is 1981. The Name of the Rose. All technically period pieces. And then
I'm a monk.
I want to say, I think that was 84 or 83.
Something like that.
And then The Untouchables, which was 87. Technically, they're all period pieces, now that I think about it. Just one of them is
in the hospital.
Future period piece.
Put one of theirs in the morgue.
I am very excited about it.
I haven't seen it so long.
I all of them, even The Great Train Robbery, which is probably the least that I'm excited about.
Yeah.
But it's based on a true story, and it's Michael Crichton.
Yeah.
So it's like, and he's fascinating.
I loved his books. Because they're just such simple, easy to read.
He has the career that and we'll talk about this more next week, but he has the career that I wish I'd had.
Yeah.
Because he didn't just do books, like he was also into movies very early on. And
film,
he
well
just
rounded.
was very good. And also, he apparently was a giant. I didn't know this.
Yeah, he was huge.
He was huge.
That's why he died. He was too big to live.
He was too big to live.
Yeah.
But anyway, Great Train Robbery will be great. I'm excited about Outland. It is a future Western, so I'm excited about that.
I'm really excited to see it again. I'm also nervous because I don't want to be. I want to be Tango and Cashed. I don't want to be Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Band.
All of them. It's going to be good. The Name of the Rose, even, because it's a murder mystery, but set in like the 13th century. I
love all these movies.
I am very excited. It's going to be good. I love Sean Connery. I'm excited to jump back into him.
So charming, so handsome,
and we're going to learn a little bit more about Sean Connery that you may not have known.
Sometimes your wife needs a smack.
Oh God,
to keep her in line.
Sometimes they just ask.
What's
for
that,
it.
Sean?
Yeah.
I'm old school.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
You
we'll
must
definitely
have a strong hand.
definitely be talking about that in the next episode. So
maybe we'll get all the bad stuff about him out of the way in the first
I mean,
one.
honestly, it kind of is. So
He was a bit of a crank and a grump when he got older, but oh my God, the guy was a coffin maker that turned into one of the biggest stars in the world.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all right, we'll be back next week. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Come on, brothers, go. It
definitely feeled.
It feeled like boo. It felt the whole kind of cyberpunk aesthetic, which was kind of just.
Or you mean steampunk?
Did I say cyberpunk?
You did.
It wasn't that. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Dallas, already in progress.